Some real-life events are more astounding than fiction. Taj Roland's life is the perfect example. His story reads like a novel, each event more incredible than the last. On every page, you'll find mystery, drama.
We were told he had no parents, no relatives, no nothing.
Intrigue.
There was a love-hate relationship. I hated being there, but then I wanted to be there.
Love.
We were meant to be together. It's pretty much a miracle.
And ultimately, a sense of purpose.
Well, who are we? How do we fit in life? What's our place in the world?
I think I really want everyone to know that there is someone greater than them looking after their best interest.
But this story isn't just a novel. It's real life. And the facts are what make it fascinating.
If God cares about this little orphan kid, hey, maybe he cares about me.
There's a draw that makes me come back to India. I feel like I'm part of this country, and it's part of me.
There comes a time in all our lives when we begin to question who we are, where we came from, why are we here? For Taj Roland, those questions led him on a journey back to a country he knew only as a child.
Yeah, India is just a vibrant country. Be it poor, be it rich, be whatever circumstance. I think humanity is just amazing.
For years, he was lost from India, living life in the U.S. But he was eventually drawn back to his native land, hoping to find clues to his mysterious past, to find answers to questions that long plagued him.
I'm still trying to discover who I am, really. I'm an American, I'm an Indian, I'm both.
Taj began life as Chellamuthu, his early days spent in an impoverished village in southern India. He's not sure what year he was born. Official records don't exist.
He spends a lot of his time on the streets, running with older kids, getting in trouble, doing things that he shouldn't do.
His earliest memories are that of a young boy living in a thatched hut. His bed was a worn mat on a dirt floor, and food was scarce. More often than not, he would go to bed hungry. He remembers searching for food among the garbage.
Scouring for food, hunger was a constant companion.
His tale began in India, but much of his life unfolds in Utah with a family longing to adopt another child.
In fact, I'd actually had a dream that I had a little dark-haired girl, and so I was looking for her. I don't even know what changed our mind, but once we saw the picture of Taj, I'm sure we were just kind of glued in to getting him here. The call that we got when we really knew he was coming came from the American consulate in Madras, India. And they called us at 3 in the morning. And he said, "You're thinking you're getting a 2-year-old boy." He said, "This child is not 2 years old. He's 7, 8, 9, I can tell you. He's been on the streets. You need to know what you're getting." He was pretty negative about it, honestly.
Linda and Fred Roland were told they needed to make a decision right away or Chellamuthu would be sent back to the orphanage.
And so he said, "Well, I can't delay because they've got to meet a train. They've got to catch a train in Delhi. So you've got to tell me within the next few hours if you want this child to be on that train." We went separated in different rooms and said, "Okay, we've got to think about this and say your own prayer and come back together in half hour and we'll decide what to do."
I felt like it was my responsibility to bring that boy here.
And we knew Taj was our son.
So, on a cold December morning at about 1 a.m., Chellamuthu arrived on a plane from India, tired, confused, and cold. His name would soon be changed to Taj Khyber Roland, and all that he once knew from India would become a faint memory.
He had cotton shorts, nothing under the shorts, and a little t-shirt, nothing under the t-shirt. He was just shivering.
Why didn't they take better care of him coming over? He shouldn't have been like that. Cold and shivery.
He was screaming to high heaven. We could see the terror in his eyes, truly. And that's the best way to explain it. He was absolutely scared to death.
Coming up, A shocking revelation changes everything.
But I truly believe that deep inside, there's always a longing to find out where you're from, what you're made of.
The daily rhythm of India didn't change a bit with the loss of a little orphan boy. For India's 1.3 billion people, life continued as it had for years and years. An existence closely tied to the traditions and practices of the mostly Hindu nation. It would hardly be surprising if no one noticed one less child on India's streets.
Hey, did you see this though? I actually wrote Tamil.
Yeah.
Did you see that? I wrote my name.
Meanwhile, back in Orem, Utah, for Fred and Linda Rowland, 1979 gave way to a new decade and an expanded family. Life in America was beginning to be kinder to Chellamuthu.
We just fed him a lot. He was always hungry. He would hide food for the first few weeks.
Taj's parents immediately got him involved in sports, scouting, and other activities, hoping this would help him adjust.
We had nicknames for our kids. Taj was our little volcano. He loves to have his picture taken.
One day, after a wrestling match,
Taj, this is the picture where you asked me.
Linda would discover an awful truth.
He was so proud. He said, "Send to my mother." And I said, "What?" "Send to my mother." And I said, "I am your mother." And he said, "My India mother. And I said, "You have an India mother?" He said, "Yes, I do." And I said, "What else do you have?" "Father, brother, sister." Until this day, we never knew you had a family. Oh, boy. We got him out of an orphanage. We were told he had no parents, no relatives, no nothing.
I have memories from everything else, me playing, my relationship with my brothers, relationship with my cousins, but that one aspect of exactly what happened somehow it just runs away from me.
To be taken away from his family, oh, that would be just horrible. Taken away from your mom and dad and things that are familiar, that would have been devastating.
I was furious. We were sick, absolutely heartsick. Because then we thought, no wonder he's mad at us. He thinks that we've went to buy him.
How can this be? Why isn't he with his family?
Immediately, the Rowlands wrote letters and made phone calls trying to find out what happened. But all their queries went unanswered.
We did not get anything back, nothing. Then I heard that there was a professor around that had taught at UVU. Somehow I got his name and his address in India, and I sent him a letter pleading for him. We need to tell this boy why he's here, what has happened. He's gone through all of this, and he has no idea why. He just sent us a letter and said, "I can't help you."
The news was a bitter disappointment.
There was nothing in it, so it was worthless to me.
But that letter would later prove valuable.
He says his name is Chellamuthu in Tamil.
Linda also recorded Taj telling his story in his native language.
So he begins telling his family about his kidnapping and that he's from India. The kidnappers told him to say that he doesn't have a mother or father. Say that you don't have a family, otherwise I'll beat you.
The kidnappers drove Chellamuthu several hours from his home, delivering him to the Lincoln Home for Homeless Children. To this day, no one is absolutely sure if the orphanage knew he was kidnapped.
It certainly makes us understand why our son is the way he is, why he grew up with lots of anger down deep inside. and why he was driven to go back.
Back then, when I was small, this place looked ominous and big and large. For me, the owner, he was a good Christian in my opinion. He tried to help those who are less fortunate, taking orphans and the people who couldn't take care of their children. In my opinion, there are some unfortunate incidents that occurred in mine. And did he know, did he not know? I'm not going to speak to that, I don't know.
It was a Monday morning, and I had told Chellamuthu to go to Papati's house to collect my money that I earned for the month. So he leaves the house and never comes back. The tears from my eyes was enough water to wash my feet. That's how many tears I shed for my son.
Of course, he was loved. When he was taken, the family searched and relentlessly trying to find him because he was just suddenly gone.
She kept roaming around Erode looking for him.
For months, the family and villagers scoured the streets looking for clues about Chellamuthu's disappearance. His mother did everything she could think of to find her boy.
Praying, going to the temple, and you have to think that the universe has a way of listening to those pleas of a mother.
Surprisingly, years after his disappearance, a fortune teller told Arai her son would soon return, and when he did, he would fly to see her. Coming up, when love paves the way home.
We were just meant to be. God had planned this. It truly was a miracle.
After Taj was adopted by his family in Utah, he tried to put the kidnapping behind him and make a new life in America.
In the process and transition of trying to get acclimated, I somehow mentally suppressed my memories. Being taken away from what I used to know and love, forced into something that I didn't know, that was real difficult. And after I passed through the trials, I find myself grateful that I did go through them. I mean, my life is, to a certain extent, a perfect example of going through the trials and then hating the trial, but looking back, recognizing it was something I had to go through, and it made me a better person.
He worked hard to move forward. Taj played sports, was active in student government. He made plenty of friends. For years, Taj suppressed the memories of his kidnapping. But then he was called on a mission to London, England for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and served in areas populated by many Indians like himself.
Said he was scared at first, frightened by them, which is really ironic, but yeah, he would walk into a room full of Indians and be scared to death. Took him a while, but then he would start to, smell the curries. He would hear their language, and he started to remember, hey, I know that. Memories came back. Sort of this moment in his life where he realized, there is something more for me.
After his mission, he was much more open with a lot of things, and we knew he was going to be getting back there, that's for sure.
He wondered, though, how would he find his Indian family, and when should he go? His future wife, Priya, held the answers to these questions.
My family doesn't believe in love marriages. That's what they call it when you date somebody and get married. We believe in arranged marriages, so my family would disapprove of it. So I had to date Taj behind my family's back for about 2 years.
Taj first saw Priya in a picture her brother had in Orem. He knew he wanted to meet her, but she was living in Singapore.
When he got on the phone with me in Singapore, I didn't know what to say.
Priya was shy and scared and didn't say much, but rather than give up, Taj sent her a gift in the mail, hoping to impress her.
He sent her air supply, which was awesome. But then, when you really stand back and look at those two meeting, and you just say, there's destiny happening.
Then one day while they were dating, they began looking at a scrapbook his mother, Linda, had kept, and a letter from India caught Priya's eye.
And somebody had written back saying it's a big place, we can't really find his family.
And as she looks at one of those letters, the handwriting
looks really familiar.
She turns that letter over and she sees that it's signed by...
It was actually from my dad.
That was Priya's dad.
What are the chances?
I look at that letter and I thought, oh my gosh, this is leading me somewhere. I'm connected to this guy for life.
It's almost like they had my life planned out long before.
He said someday that he'd like to go and find his family. That's always been on his mind. And I said, let's do it together.
Up next, see the many miracles that led him home.
There's a lot of questions. Why me? Why me? I often ask that myself.
Kidnapped as a child, Taj Roland still lives with scars even he can't comprehend.
Everything about India is canned up inside him, because I don't think he could put it all together.
His return to India as a young man to search for his lost family marked a new chapter in his life.
Where am I from? What was I like? He had to go back and find out.
In a country bustling with over 1 billion people, the odds of finding his family seem next to impossible.
In all that mass of humanity.
For everyone.
I never thought that Taj would find his family.
100% sure that we will not be able to find.
But Taj.
When he decided he wanted to do something, he was going to do it.
Upon arriving in India, he called on the help of Christopher Raj, a near stranger who would soon become a trusted friend.
Taj, we are in a country with so many people. If it is God's grace, we'll be able to find your family.
Can I see the back wall?
They began their search at the Lincoln Home for Homeless Children, the orphanage from which he was adopted.
You know, when I first came here, 1997, Christopher and I, our hope was to meet with the owner of the orphanage and really, to show him, hey, look, I made something out of me.
But the owner had died years before, and the orphanage closed, so there would be no answers for Taj there.
That was a little bit of a regret for me. What happened to the other children? Where are they now? It would be kind of neat to, potentially reconnect and see where they ended up.
Even if a mother has 10 children, if one child is missing, she will be thinking about that child all day long.
Meanwhile, a mother, family, and village agonize over what happened.
About 18 years, she would pray for him and cry for him, and she would just sit on the footsteps of the temple and cry all day.
Taj didn't know the name of his hometown where he was kidnapped, but he remembered being driven about 3 hours from that town to the orphanage in the city of Coimbatore. He began his search drawing on memories trapped away. He drew a crude map, picturing a river where he would swim, nearby banana groves and rice fields, a park not far from the river, even a factory where textiles were made. As he continued his search, memories began to fit together like puzzle pieces, one by one, until the picture of his former life came into focus.
This is what I drew on a map when I was in London. And when I came back, this is what I was looking for.
The park, full of children, helped lead Taj to the home of Papati, a kind landlady he had known as a child.
So when I met with Papati, the landowner, she told us that I had an older brother. His name was Silveraj, which first time I found out his name was Silveraj, and that he went out and started a bleaching factory 10 years previous. And so from here is where the journey started, actually coming to a closure to finding my family.
It was 1997 when Taj first reconnected with his family. When he found them, his mother was down washing in the river.
And Taj said the next memory he has, he sees this old woman who's just running up the hill. She's just weeping and crying. She said, "Chellamuthu, Chellamuthu."
I can't explain to you the emotion that I felt.
There was nothing but a small hut that they were living in, and we suddenly felt a sense of responsibility to take care of them. And they didn't have anything, not much to eat. And so we decided, this is it, we're gonna start helping.
And so, with the assistance of Christopher, his new friend and business partner, they began offering aid to those most in need.
You can see how he has impacted his own family down here.
This helps them to be self-sufficient. So you can see some of the beautiful work that they've done.
Eventually, they formed a nonprofit called Taprish, designed to improve living conditions and provide self-sufficiency in the villages where his family lives.
Hopefully we can spread out all over India, not just help our family, but help so many other people that are in need.
It's kind of neat. This is where I belong, really.
God has given us a way to help these people, and that's what we look forward to doing.
Taj's journey may have begun with tragedy, but it continues with hope. It's a story of faith and a belief in the power of new beginnings.
Somebody taking me away probably was one of the single greatest things that actually happened to me. If that wouldn't have happened, you know, a lot of lives would have been altered, not just my own.
He is closely connected to two mothers on two continents, both who love him and pray for him often.
Regardless of what God they're praying to, the fact that there are two women praying for me is incredible.
His journey to discover who he is and where he came from
That I believe should give some hope.
has ultimately helped him find answers to why he is here.
You should have faith in life, faith in God, that He has what we all want, and that is that we feel like we're loved by someone.